What's up, everybody? Welcome to another beautiful episode of This Uncanny Earth, brought to you by us over there.
And whatever's in this class.
Whatever's in this glass. This is obviously a Samuel Adams cherry wheat. I was in the mood for a cherry-esque beer, and so I had one. Brought to you by This Uncanny Spirits Club.
This Uncanny Gaming.
And all the beautiful things therein. As always, I am your lugubrious host, Robert Solomon. And with me is the man who always wonders why everything has to be such a perfect circle. Ladies and gentlemen, it's Spider-Roni. What's up, Spider? What's going on?
Sure is. How is everybody? How are everybody? We are doing very well this evening. I think it's hot in Ohio again today. Like, it was nice and cool for a couple of days. Like, oh man, it felt like early fall. It was like real nice, and now it's hot, muggy,
hot. You gotta do this. Doesn't do nothing but circulate the heat.
Yeah, that's the Ohio like male thing. You just like, how about that heat out there, guys? How about that heat?
Can't take my top off, you know. Insane.
Yeah,
it's not that type of show, folks.
Hey.
So tonight we're talking about the Matrix. Are we living in a simulation? Now, the really scary part about the whole idea of living in a simulation is the dad jokes that are about to happen right now. Oh, Leah's here.
And the fact that when you first sent me a message, I thought that when you said we were talking about nothingness, I actually put that as the title. So. Because I thought the other one was a joke and the first one was the true one, and I got them.
We can encompass them both. We really can.
So either one I can work with. Like either one I can work with.
We can work with them both. We can really fuse both in because really they're the same thing. If I be honest with you. So it's time for Dad Jokeronis. Hit that beautiful theme music.
I'll do it. The people on the video won't actually hear this, which is too bad because
we should figure that out. How to get that to happen.
I probably can if I play around with it a little bit more.
Or all we need is the sound to go through my...
Oh, that's the dedication. And there's your dedication to Todd for anybody who's listening on Spreaker. Because since we do the new thing, I can't add it at the beginning, so I put it in now. Oops. Here's the dad joke one. I think Todd would have thought that was funny.
Oh, he would have. He'd appreciated that. Todd's a man of appreciation. If he would have thought that mix-up was funny. We would have had him on the show in live. We'd have met with him live and
like this.
Well,
there you go. The best part's over. The dedication's over. Now we just get to whatever you have dredged up from the sewer of. You know.
How did Spider figure out he was in the Matrix? He just neo'd it.
It doesn't work.
It doesn't need to.
It does for that one. It would have to. It doesn't work at all.
It works for that one. I'm sorry.
It doesn't. It's like it's not even close to the word.
Sorry. It's close enough.
You better be sorry because it was terrible.
It's just like the asparagus joke. How do you?
Even that one worked better than this one, and that one didn't work either.
That one was come above the fly. What you want from me, man? I'm living my best life.
I don't know. My legs are broken.
Well, then you get somebody else to do it.
Yeah.
So we are talking about living in a simulation, aka the Matrix, not the Autobot Matrix of leadership. Or do we live in a nothingness? Do we live in a simulation where it's... Nope, I can't fuse those two. I got an idea, though. This is how we can do it. We can do a little bit of both, actually. So, do we live in the Matrix, and do we live, are we surrounded by other beings from other galaxies, or is it one giant nothingness? And actually, I'm going to ask you a question. We're going to start this off actually a little bit different. I wanted to ask this, and this is for everybody that's watching. This is serious. Everybody watching at home, that includes you, Leah, so you better answer this question. Would you rather go to the deep ocean Okay. Or deep space. And which one are you more afraid of? And stop petting that cat.
Well, that was the dog.
I was close. I was close. It was an animal, a four-legged one. What do you got? Deep space or deep ocean? I think I already know.
Is this one for me, or are you waiting for people in the
No,
audience?
it's for everybody. You can
For
answer
me?
first because obviously you're my co-host.
All right, that's what I was making sure. Well, I'd say I would rather be in deep space because there's just that vast expanse. Like there's so much of just space out there. Whereas the ocean, as big as it is and as deep as it is, it's finite. You can theoretically explore it all. I mean, we can't right now, but theoretically you could. Whereas space could be infinite. We could never be able to completely explore space. Or maybe it is finite. We don't know. It's hard to say. But even if it's not infinite, it might be so big that in a lifetime we can't do it. Now, as far as being I don't really get that. Like, I don't do the whole thing.
But I mean, listen. If you're gonna go out in one or the other, which one are you going out in?
I think that the ocean is more dangerous because there's a lot more direct hazards there. The pressure, for one, the life for another, and the water itself is corrosive. It's salt water. So it's corrosive, and it's not necessarily toxic, but it will slowly break down everything that's in it for the most part. Eventually, whatever craft you use will eventually break down no matter how many times you repair it. So you have to get out of it.
So Leah says, like to live or to visit. It's not really a live or visit just to go to it. There's no guarantee you're going to make it back. So just to go. Like you got to pick one to go to. Are you going into deep space? Or are you going into the ocean? Okay, so I'm going to answer this question. And there's a dog with a cone on his head.
Yeah, she does that.
Hey, dog, what's up? So for me, deep space. I'm not going anywhere near that deep ocean. Y'all can have that old deep, horrible ocean, hardest of passes. Go, because if I go down in one of those bathyspheres or one of those ships like that, and as soon as I see like this giant tentacle-eyed monster, it's over. It's done. It's a wrap for that. It's over. What I'm going to do is I'm going to start crying, first of all. Tears, right? Maybe some other things will happen. But all I know is, no, you keep that. I'd rather be in space, the hole get blown out, and I'm out floating, losing oxygen, right? Because at least I can be like, oh, the expanse. It's an expanse. The ocean is not. In the ocean, you're trapped. I'm not. Wait, you would pick the ocean, Leah. You would actually pick the ocean. So me and my buddy, we had this conversation. Not me and Spider, but our other buddy. And we both agreed. Like we're like, no, there is no way on God's green earth we're going to the deep ocean. You got me so twisted in half because you're stuck. You are legit stuck, and the further down you go, the less likely it is that you're going back up. Pressure, like you said, pressure. You don't know what's down there. At least in space, you have a somewhat idea of what's in space. You're like, okay, I've seen enough science fiction. There could be ships, aliens. I'm cool with that, right? But deep ocean, you don't know what's down there. You have no idea what the Kraken, Shumagorath, tentacle
I'll tell you.
10 tentacles.
I mean, I'll tell you, I'd still would want to explore the deep ocean. But if it was a choice between the two, I'd rather go to space than the ocean. I mean, just because it's just there's more out there and there's like so much more to see.
I want nothing to do with the deep ocean. Y'all can have that. All you Jacques Cousteau mother fathers, y'all can have that because there is no way on God's green earth that I'm going anywhere near one of those. I don't even want to get on a cruise ship. Be stuck out in the middle of the ocean. That bad boy wrecks. No.
And that does happen. That does still happen. Like we've seen over the last 5 years, there's been a couple of cruise ships that went down. There was that one that like tipped over and caught fire, and it like had a bunch of lawsuits after the fact because the captain was like drunk or something. I don't remember what it was. He was really negligent. He got hit with negligence.
I remember this. I remember this was like 5 years ago. I remember this.
Yeah, it wasn't very long, and like it was a big popular cruise ship. It was like Carnival or something even.
Did you say a Carnivore?
No, Carnival.
I thought you were like cruise ships. Carnivore and ate all the passengers.
It might be out in space with the. We're not going there.
See, I have to disagree with you, Leah, because if I'm dying anyways, I want to be out in space because I can be like, as I'm dying, I can look over and be like, oh man, that's Saturn. It looks so freaking epic. Holler at your boy. Done. If I'm in the ocean, some stupid kraken, giant squid, monster octopus is squeezing the life out of me, squirting ink on my face. Like, first of all, the fact you're squeezing life out of me, that's pretty disrespectful. But then you're gonna squirt ink on my face. That's just you just over the top with it now. Now you're just being ultra disrespectful. I'm not having it. At least in space, there's nobody's squirting ink in my face. I can float out in space and die peacefully, and then I just float. I mean,
unless you're with somebody who's a crew member and they start spraying it in your face. Because if that's the whole argument, then
we fighting out of the airlock. We're fighting out of the airlock, and I'm kicking him into deep space. Charlie Murphy.
I'll start carrying an ink sprayer everywhere I go from now on, just for giggles.
I'm kicking you into deep space. I swear on everything, I'm kicking you into deep space.
Anytime you start getting like uppity bad, I'd be like, got my ink.
I'd be like, okay, I got my foot. I'm kicking you into deep space. No, you cannot. No, this is not up for picking. You don't get to pick Antarctica. It's either the ocean or deep space. That's it.
Freezing to death is supposed to be the easiest way to pass because there's like no sensation. It's all numbness. So there's no pain at all. You just fall asleep.
I mean, I can just fall asleep upstairs.
This episode went that direction.
Badly, quickly, horribly.
Oh, boy. Yeah.
Okay, so there we go. And because I wanted to ask that question a while back, because me and my buddy, we were talking about this. You know what I'm talking about, too. And we were both like, deep ocean. No, y'all can go ahead and explore that. Y'all take your little ship, go down to the pressure where if you're not careful, your eyes will pop out of your head. That's a hard pass. It's the hardest of passes. Have you ever been on a submarine, Spider? Have you ever been on a submarine?
No, I've been on a few boats.
I've been on a submarine. It sucks. It's like this. And it's all metal. It sucks. The bunks are by the torpedo bays. It's awful. So no ocean. The only thing in Antarctica is Cthulhu. Anyways, and that's in the book. And New Schwabenland too. New Schwabenland. What are you whatting for? What's the joke and laughing and whatting for? This dude has been petting this dog. Now he looks like he's playing a guitar. Wow, 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 yeah. Thank you, Cleveland.
Air Dog Tar. She's just like,
Air Dog Tar.
How are you doing?
Okay. How you doing?
How are you doing?
How you doing? How you doing? So yes. Yeah, definitely deep space. Yeah, I've been in a submarine. Yes.
You were in a submarine. Let's clarify though. You were in a submarine that was above water.
100%. Yes.
You took a tour.
You actually
at Pearl Harbor.
Yeah, because you can't actually go on a submarine unless you are trained to go on a submarine. Like you can't. Like it's Army stuff.
Or you're a famous YouTuber.
Is that true?
I've seen that. Like I've seen like shows where like people are like huge YouTube celebrities and they've gone out and like organized these little expeditions. But you have to have experts with you. You can't like just go and rent one and be like, I'm gonna rent a submarine. But you and I could actually buy a submarine today from eBay.
How much?
It's as much as like a car.
That's it?
It's like,
but here's the thing. How much are we gonna have to put into it? Because I don't want to buy a fixer-up model.
It's submarine. It's a submarine. Submarine. It's a submarine. It's a machine gun. I want to buy one of those. It's got a submarine that actually works and it's fully sealed. But what they do is when they sell it, you have to sign a waiver that once it's yours, if you screw up with it, it's all on you, et cetera, et cetera. And you would still. Wait.
Does it have the nuclear missile bays?
No, it's just one of those little ones. It's one of those little exploratory ones, like for the Titanic search.
Oh, you mean with the arms that do the little gripping and that?
Yeah, this one I don't think had the arm attachments on it. It was just the pod that goes down.
I want a full-on nuclear submarine that I can call all my homies. We get in and then we just
then
go
what
around.
Would you be afraid of? That's a pretty big deal. You can probably do pretty good with that, except for every submarine movie that I've ever watched where a disaster happened.
And the fact if you don't have somebody that pressurizes the hole correctly and depressurizes your eyeballs, flotch face, whatever, it's all good.
Well, you're supposed to have computers for that.
But the old ones, they didn't.
Yeah, but we're talking about the new ones.
But no, we can't afford new ones. We have to buy one of them old, like 1987 Hunt for Red October, Sean Connery, other dude in that movie, submarines. We can't afford a brand new submarine. We got to buy one at discount or like a thrift store.
Well, then you get what you pay for there. You're going to get leaks.
Well, it's going to be a fixer model, yes, but I figure
you're going to have me down in the engine room trying to do a terrible Scottish accent and trying to be like, I can't give you more power, Captain.
I'm busy taking a bucket and trying to throw water out of it.
Yeah.
Bones, tell me. I need to know what is going on here. I don't understand. This show just turned into an S show real fast. Anyways, tonight, The Matrix. Do we live in a simulation? Do we? Some people say yes. Jim from Saskatchewan says, one day I went outside and it was 37 degrees. I went out the next day, it was 47. Doesn't make sense to me. Glenda from the Everglades of Florida says, I saw a two-headed alligator phase into reality. So what is it, my friends and family out there in Uncannyville? Do we live in a simulation or do we not live in a simulation? And have you ever seen anything that has made you question if we live in a simulation? We have local simulation expert Spider here with us to tell us more. Spider, tell us, do we live in a simulation or not?
Well, the dog obviously doesn't really care for that too much, but it's a compelling theory. I don't 100% believe it. I think reality is a little bit different than that. I think it's more, mystical than that. But it is a compelling theory because it would help explain things like Mandela effect.
Yes.
It would help explain how people believe they have past lives because that's maybe you got rebooted at some point because something messed up.
Who rebooted me? I'm kidding.
It may explain all kinds of very supernatural things because it's things that are glitches or things that are extra programs or things like that, but just like that don't work or something like that. And it would explain why my daughter is singing really obnoxiously loud at the top of her lungs. I was wondering
if that was the Squid Games intro. I was like, oh, he's doing Squid Games at his house again. Second time this week.
No. She's singing Disney songs at the top of her absolute lungs when she's supposed to sleep.
See, my child knows that if he's up, he has to run the gauntlet. And he knows that in a couple days it's his birthday. So if he's acting up, the surprises won't be surprises. I get the surprises. Size 9K Swiss. You feel me? Anyways, that's not the point of this conversation. The idea that we live in a simulation to me is a little bit absurd. And I say this.
You're trying to get what she's singing, aren't you?
A little bit, because I'm like, man, is she singing Living on a Prayer? All right, man. Half priced apps and $2 drafts, man. Let's go. This is really what the Uncanny Valley is. Singing.
And she's like, I actually turned that down because I knew she was loud already earlier.
You turned it down?
She's exceeding the volume of capacity.
But she says turned down for what?
She does, apparently.
She's getting turned.
I mean, I'm with you, though, as far as like the whole like simulation thing. I just can't.
Because
it's compelling, but I don't.
Like, here's the thing. Like, okay, if we're in a simulation, why run us through the whole like political gamut? Why run us through the religious gamut? Why run us through the whole like suffer and all that? Like, now I'm sure people want to connect it with the prison planet thing of like, yeah, aliens trapped us here, they're using us for experiments. But why do it to make us miserable? Like, why not? If we were living in a simulation, that now the one thing I can say that I find to be interesting in that model, in the simulation hypothesis, is that they credit things like people being able to do extraordinary feats. Like, I don't know if you guys have ever seen people do like where they run across the top of buildings and they do flips over them. That could be a green screen, mind you.
They're really extreme, like parkour stuff, though.
Like, they don't have that sense of fear, but maybe that's just a human thing. But another reason why I don't buy into the whole simulation thing is because human beings as a whole have one fear, It's one fear that dominates every human being on the planet. Even if you're not afraid of it, it's still there for a reason. Me and you have talked about this, and that's the fear of the dark. Every human being has a fear of the dark. And I'm not saying like you're terrified of it, but I'm talking like when me and you hang out, right? At night, our senses are more aware of our surroundings at night as opposed to daytime because we can see everywhere, but at night we can't. But why is that? Because our ancestors before us were afraid of the things in the dark, which leads me to believe that we were a different civilization back then. We were seeing different things, we were doing different things. And that's what I mean. Like, and to me, that is exactly why I don't believe we're in a simulation, because like Leah said, a primal fear, right? But a primal fear is only a primal fear because of a reason. Primal fears aren't something that we're born with, it's something we develop. So it's like, okay, we're afraid of the dark, but why are we afraid of the dark? Why are we afraid of spiders? Why are we afraid of things that technically we shouldn't be? Like, why are you afraid of spiders? They're not bigger than you. They're not giant man-eating spiders. You could crush them underfoot. Anybody that has a tarantula, and I've known people that have had tarantulas. I've actually held a tarantula. It's okay. It's different. It's weird. But if you ever drop one, it'll die instantly because they're like glass. They'll break. So we have this weird fear of spiders. We have a weird fear of the dark. So I have to wonder, where does that come from? And if we were a simulation, right, we wouldn't have that. Because I don't think you couldn't build that into every human being to where every human being would have that. There would be so many people that wouldn't have that, and there probably is. But I still think our primal fears prove that we aren't in a simulation. You have to question everything as one big complex simulation that would fall under the umbrella of everything. But what it would take to enact a simulation like that would be a Kardashev scale civilization, roughly about 2 or 3, because the Kardashev civilization scale states that you have to be able to control the power in your own sun to be a civilization 1. We're not a Civ 1 civilization. We're like a 0.6 because we can't control our sun. And as it goes up, you control galaxies, you control this, you control that. So on a Kardashev scale, you would, unless the Kardashev scale is based on the simulation that was given to us to try to make sense of it all. But the scale itself, once you get into a certain level, then yes, you could create a simulation, but to where all the pieces and parts, because there's little things. Like, for instance, if I go over there behind me, right, there's a Handsome Devil mug right behind me, right? Given to me, right? If I break it and stab myself, that simulation has to account for that. That was a word salad. I'm not going to lie to you. Thank you for pointing that out, making me feel terrible. Thank you. Good job. Cheers. But little things like that. Like if I drop this and I drop it on the desktop here, it's got to make a sound perfectly. It's got to hit perfectly for it to do that in so many different computations. It just seems too complex that we're living in a simulation. That's all. I don't know what else to say.
Well, some of it too, the other part of that is that because we can only experience what our senses are telling us, that's supposed to be part of it. It's supposed to be that everything outside of our senses isn't actually real, which means that when you see that thing fall or you hear that thing break, that's something your senses are telling you, but that doesn't mean that something in reality actually broke or even moved at all. It just means that you experienced something like that.
I mean, we have virtual reality, don't forget. Or we can drop something in virtual reality and it doesn't do it in real time. It doesn't break something here. So that's possible. I just think that because we have feelings and emotions, that's why I don't think we're a simulation. I don't know what to say that. But a simulation. I don't know.
Yeah, the dog over here is going crazy. I know you're hearing the dog whining now.
That's because the dog's like, I'm not in a simulation, sir.
No, the dog woke up from a heavy sleep and now she needs something. Usually, I try to take care of the stuff before the show's over. So,
do you need to take care of it? I can talk for a little bit if you need to take care of it.
I'll give her a minute. Hopefully, we can get through everything. That's life. That's live for you folks. That's live stuff.
The good old Jennifer Lopez movie, The Cell. Saw that in the theater by myself. Yes, good times, good times. But the thing is, I don't know. It just seems life seems too complex for us for that to happen. For it to be a simulation, I think life is too complex. Whoever is running the simulation would have to have next level programming abilities that surpass any of our own. And that's like, I guess that's where I was going with the whole Kardashev scale, the whole word salad Kardashev scale thing. Was that you would have to have beings or entities that would be that intelligent or that high up on the ladder, unless God is doing the simulation.
That's the other part of the theory, that supposedly what we see as the divine is actually part of some kind of supercomputer that's beyond us. And obviously this dog is going to need me to do something.
Go ahead, go do my
contribution. But if you want to entertain the people, I'll be back.
Anyways, so what's up, everybody? How y'all doing? But in order, I think, for a simulator, I don't know, I keep wanting to say simulation. In order for a simulation to actually, I think, exist, you're talking about beings that would have to exist on a whole other level. What if we're in pods and simulated lives until we reach our destination to somewhere else? I'm sure that's a movie. Maybe, but what are we in the pods for? Like, why are we there? What makes us different in terms of a whole like simulation to do that? Stop that. So that's my whole thing, is like, if it is a simulation, what's the end game? What's the end game of said simulation? Are we in deep space? Are we sleeping? Like, if we're hibernating to go to our next planet, and what? So, like, here's an interesting thought. What if our dreams are basically us in real time, which that's been hypothesized before, that we're dreaming reality? Maybe. Here's something that's kind of interesting. What if our systems have failed us and we're just floating endlessly? I don't know if we could handle that. There's a caddo in that window cleaning itself. I don't know if you guys see that. I see it. I'm with that. I'm with whatever that cat's doing over here. I'm with that. Oh, this is. So this is, do I have two of them? I do. So this is my fresh new tattoo I got. It's a reindeer, right? That's a Christmas tree. It hurt a lot, but it happens. It's a Christmas tree. It's pretty, it means season's beatings. But I don't know. I just think things are very complex in life, and I don't know if that allows for us to have that variance in terms of space travel. But like you said, the space travel concept is an interesting one, in that, what if we're still floating? Like, what if it just never stops? What if we were kicked off our planet? We can't survive anywhere else, so we're just floating. But here's my thing. This is something that I've thought of before that I think is very interesting. Is your life, is everybody in it a simulation, and the whole entire existence is catered to you specifically? Nobody in your life is real. So let's say I'm not real, right? Pengutron 3000 isn't real. I'm just a figment of your imagination, and likewise, you're a figment of mine, or Spider's a figment of mine, right? So, and our children are just figments of our imagination. So what if that's what it is? What if everybody in our life, like, say Spider, like, he's not a real person. He's just,
some people believe that.
In my head, I have created him to be a friend because we're in a simulation. And so I've created him to be a friend, you, everybody else. So all of you aren't real. None of you are real, right? And we create these people in our heads because they're our comfort mechanism. They have pieces of our personality that we admire, right? Like for instance, Spider here. I admire his
you got to think about
it. No,
my knowledge of spirits.
I admire his tenacity, his sort of zero, you know what's given at any time. So what if he is just that part of me? He like I've created him to be that part of me, right? And like you, Lee, I've created you to be that the softer aspect of myself, of my own person, the feminine aspect of my personality. And everything around me, like the games I play, I created those because those are the games I like. But to feed the Sims other people, like Spider, for instance, he's over here. He's not over here. I've given him like Borderlands and Dishonored because I also am taking care of the the Sims people in my life. You know what I mean? And I've given them lives, and I've given my whole self a life. Now you're all probably wondering, like, well, that doesn't make any sense. How can that be a thing? Well, look at people who like Buddhist monks, right? That train and train and train. They don't feel any pain. They've risen to a higher consciousness. Some of them, I believe, have self-mummified. What if they have broken their own simulation, right? And what if that's what we're doing? Our simulation is the world we've created. And so, like, the bad things that I feel, I reflect in the simulation, like wars and skirmishes and things like that. And all of the history that's come out, the Crusades and things like that, are all things that I thought I would enjoy in my simulation, right? And so I put people and historical events in place because I enjoy studying those historical events. I'm just saying,
now, the only real
that's kind of an interesting thought.
And that kind of gets to the downside of that. That kind of makes it kind of like a maybe not sort of theory. Is that you would expect that if you had figured all that out, which many of us have figured out, that hey, we can improve our lives and things. If we could improve it because everything was from us to begin with, then we could, if we really tried hard enough, completely fix everything. And then that'd be done. Like, we could fix it and move forward.
But what if that's the whole process?
And that could be it too, because maybe there's a subconscious that and that could be something we don't understand about our minds. And that's a really good in-depth point, because we all have a subconscious that reacts in ways that we sometimes don't want to. True. Or sometimes we don't believe that we would. A lot of times we don't believe we're going to be quite as bad of a person that sometimes we are. I'm not saying that we're all like Hitler level villains on the inside, because we're not. But there's parts to us that are kind of like, we do things we shouldn't. Like nowadays, maybe not quite as much as we used to. Like, I did a lot of things when I was a lot younger, like 10, 20 years ago. More closer to like 20 years ago, I did a lot of things that I probably should not.
Listen, I did some things that would end the simulation that I'm living. All right, like if it would have turned any other way, you would not be sitting here having this Uncanny Earth. I wouldn't have impacted your life, Leah's life. I wouldn't be here. Like, end of discussion. Like, I would not be here.
And but that's part of our like subconscious. There's a part of us that has a bit of a darkness in there. That's for 100%. Lack of a better term. I mean, we don't need to call it like necessarily light and dark, good and evil, but it's like,
say like it has that primal need to just be what it is. You know what I mean?
And so then we get to, are we constantly going to be in a struggle to subsume these base instincts, or are we supposed to come to a balance, and that's how the simulation resets itself. Is that the goal of the simulation? To come into balance with all the different parts of your mind without actually being able to directly affect them.
And what if that whole notion of doing that, right? What if there's some of us that don't want to leave? We're comfortable in the simulation. We're safe, we're warm.
Which would be the majority, really.
Because if you think about it, and this goes into like a lot of religious studies of attaining higher planes. As you meditate, you go higher planes. Leah says the world is made of light and darkness. That is her Dollar General Kingdom Hearts socks, because Kingdom Hearts and Sora, or Seth, she has the Seth socks because they're Clover Valley brand Dollar General socks. But if you really
what you're getting at is the concept of samsara, which is the Hindu thing where you keep going around the circle endlessly until you've reached enough.
But that's also Buddhism that says that you keep hitting, but that doesn't make any sense, because see, this is my thing, and this is why I don't believe in past lives. I don't believe in past lives at all. I think past lives is a horrible belief system. Because, and I'll tell you why, because everybody is unique to themselves. And I think that by saying, I believe, in a past life, I was this person, I think that's horrible, because you don't really accept yourself as living your own life. You're living somebody else's life when you're continuing. And when you die, you'll live somebody else's life again. And to me, what I think that is DNA imprinting. It's DNA, because you carry DNA from every human being. We're all human beings. We all have DNA. And it's all linked. It's 100% linked. But my whole thing about this simulation thing is, I love my simulation. I've created the coolest things ever. The Mothman, the Flatwoods Green Monster, which I have asserted myself in the history of that, mind you. But it's something that they've never been able to prove if we're in a simulation or not. They can't prove it. They can't. Because who knows, if you die, you wake up out of the simulation. Like, that's it. Now, see, Leah thinks past lives are real, as where I do not. I do not. I don't believe in them. I don't believe we've had past lives. I believe it's DNA imprinting. I believe that DNA imprints into each person. I think to say that we have past lives, I think cheapens our lives a little bit. Because it's like, oh, I'm just living another life from another person in the past, instead of saying, you know what, I'm my own being, but I'm part of whatever came from me in the past. Like, we were all part of all of the people that have come before us. But I don't necessarily believe in reincarnation. There's too many things that I have read and seen that just prove to me that it doesn't exist.
See, I disagree in a way.
Okay.
Not in a complete, like, I can't disagree in a way that says, oh, you're completely wrong, because I don't know that. I don't know that. Just like I don't know about, like last week we talked about the divine. I can't say that it's not a real thing. I don't follow it, but I can't say it's not there. Because since I believe that energy at all levels is basically forever. I believe that energy cannot be created nor destroyed. It's always the same energy, and there's so much of it out there.
And it just goes to different aspects of things. Yes, 100%.
And I feel like, while it's not necessarily like a past life as people have necessarily described it, I believe that your energy has been other things throughout existence and may continue to be other things, because it's a multiverse concept.
No,
I believe that.
No offense. We're boys, so we can
I feel
disagree.
That because your energy wasn't always you, it had to have been something else before it was you. Does that mean it was a rock? I don't know. Does that mean it was a frog? I don't know. Does it mean it might have been a part of another person? Possibly. Now, that gets to the Egyptian concept of the Ka and the Ba, where one part was your life energy that kept on going to another body in the next, like it got reincarnated, but your other self was your individual actual self that went on to your final reward. And it could be something like that. Maybe we have a consciousness and a life energy, and our consciousness is unique to every person, but our life energy is flowing through many different people.
Okay, so let me say this. I don't mean to interrupt, but I want to say this. I don't believe that's the case, personally, mind you. What I believe is we have this energy, right? I just had so many weird memories when I was a kid, unexplainable mourning for memories that weren't mine. I don't know. That's always. And listen, I'm only giving my personal opinion. All right. Let me just state that right now because I don't believe it. Doesn't mean it's not true. It doesn't mean that's not something that other people can believe. I just don't believe it. Now, what I believe is, like I said, DNA imprinting, where because we're all human beings, we share, like Nikola Tesla said, a collective consciousness. So, for instance, Nikola Tesla goes on to say that that can be tapped into. And so, what I believe is that, say, a doctor in New Zealand, right, discovers a new process to treat cancer. I can figure that process out if I know how to tap into that universal consciousness because we're all sharing DNA and we all come from a divine being, whatever you believe, Allah, Christ, Buddha, all that, right? But because of that, we share that. And I think we share those memories. I think when people be like, well, I wasn't related to the person that I had the memory of, because you're still related via DNA. So to me, we have that collective consciousness that can be tapped into. When Tesla said, I can tap into it and pull from it, I believe we all can. But I believe things that we intake into our body and cloud our mind, cloud our judgment, hurts that. Out of all the ethereal and unexplainable things in my life, almost all of it was when I was young. I think it's lost to get no, and I get that. I've told you, and I've told all of you this. When I was 5 or 6, there was somebody outside of my window talking. I'm not kidding. I'm not making it up. I remember it clear as day. I don't remember a lot of stuff from that, the time of, like, I want to say when I was born to when I was about 8 when I was shot. Okay. When I was 8, I got shot. I got into a bad accident. It was a person that shouldn't have handled a gun. And they were crazy. This isn't anything political. This is just fact. This is what happened to me. I remember that point and on. I remember dying, like literally, I was 8 years old, laying in, when I got shot, I got hit, and I remember dying. I remember, like, everything fading. And I remember coming to an ambulance, telling them my name, where I lived, and my phone number. Because that's what you were always taught in grade school. Name, phone number, where do you live? Address. Name, phone number, address. Woke up and tell them that, passed out again, right? And then woke up again with a bunch of needles in my body, passed out again, woke up in ICU, and then from that point on, I can remember my life beginning. From that exact point on. I remember little things before that. I can remember my first grade teacher's name, my second grade teacher's name, my third grade teacher's name, all that jazz, right? Fourth, all that. But I also remember little parts of my life at that point. And so that point of my life between 5 and 6, I remember something standing outside of my window, like outside of my window. And I don't know what it said, but I was afraid. Like I was afraid. And it wasn't like another human being. I don't believe that, because I believe my mother and my father, and, Spider knows both of them personally. He knows my parents very well. My dad.
Oh yeah, I've seen you guys at, like, your best. I've seen you guys at some of your worst. I've seen you guys, like, the whole
gamut.
thing.
Whole gamut. My dad would have been in there throwing hands. He'd been like, "Yo, what are you doing?" No, this was something different. This was something I can't explain. There's very few things in my life I can't explain. That's one of them. And so to me, and I agree with you, that when you're a kid, you see things that you don't when you're an adult. And that's a whole nother part of the simulation ideology. Like, is it because you're being birthed into the simulation? So you're seeing the defects of the simulation? I don't know. Sorry, Spider. I've been talking for way too long.
Oh, no, it's fine. I get it. See, I didn't really lose this kind of sense of stuff after I grew up from being a kid. Like, I dream pretty vividly all the time, and a lot of times the real deep ones I remember. And I've had one of the reasons that I feel like I've had these different versions of myself in different universes is because I've had these dreams that are really realistic, where I feel like I'm me, not like some character, not some other person. I'm me experiencing these other things. And so it's interesting. I can't really put it exactly into words in a way that a person who hasn't experienced it would understand necessarily. It just comes off like, oh, you had a weird dream. Which, if somebody gets that, that's fine. Everybody believes different things. But for me, I feel very strongly that I've been here before in some form or another. I've done different things as myself, but in different forms. And whether that's just side universes and maybe just slipped from side to side, or whether that's just my mind just being crazy and I'm just totally like, there's a part of me that's busted back there. I don't know. But that's what I feel, because I mean, I don't have a way to, like, I don't have a frame of reference otherwise. I can't like compare it to anything else.
Well, no, and Leah says she's the same with dreams, to where I'm different. Like, once the trauma happened, there's no dreams for me. I've only had a handful of dreams I can like pull from memory. One, and this is my favorite dream I've ever had. I remember it like vividly. I lived in a town and they had satellite dishes. They had small satellite dishes. They had the big vast ones. What's that place that had the satellite that just collapsed? It was in the James Bond movie.
Oh,
you know what I'm talking about.
The Argus Array, or not the Argus Array, the whatever the array was.
Big, huge, and they were searching for extraterrestrial life, and I love that dream. Like, that is my favorite dream. That is my favorite dream I've ever had, because it was just like, it was beautiful. There was all these satellites, and they were looking, and they had built them to find them, and that was so freaking cool. Other than that, it's just been a lot of weird dreams. I've never had a normal dream, like where it's just normal, where things are normal. It's always weird stuff. It's always been like that. But
there's an interesting point, and I think you'll probably want to disagree with me on it, but it's an interesting point to consider, that people used to say that a dreamless sleep is the sleep of the just, where if you don't dream, it means that everything is how it's supposed to be in your life. Like, you don't have, like, your aspirations are where they're supposed to be, so you don't have to dream of different aspirations. The terrible things in your life, the worst is over, so you don't have to have nightmares. So instead, you just sleep. You don't have dreams because you don't need dreams.
But once again, that's just what was said. That doesn't
necessarily that's getting
mean...
into some. That's a philosopher. That's not. But it's just an interesting thing to throw out there.
But no, I don't believe that, because I think that we can always dream to be better. I think that might be something that's a comfort thing, to where you're comfortable. I think that might be more aligned to being comfortable. You're like, I'm where I want to be, like you said, and I've attained what I've wanted attained. I wouldn't say just. I would say you're comfortable. I would say you're comfortable, because really no human being is just. No human being. And I say that including myself, but I think that's more of like, you're very comfortable in life. Excuse me, I'm going to keep doing that. You're like, I'm happy. And that's amazing, because you're where you want to be. And I can agree with that, because I think that why dream when you have everything you want right there? As to where somebody like myself, I have weird dreams, but I think it's because my brain isn't wired like everybody else's. My brain is like 90% trauma. It's a hot mess. It's like crisscrossed wires and just having rough upbringing and going through a lot of crazy things growing up, dealing with people. So my dreams are different. My dreams are like chaotic, because I can't seem to figure out who I am. You know what I mean? Like, I can't place myself anywhere, because I'm trying to be everywhere all at once. I'm trying to do multiple things at one time, and I can't. So I dream chaotic because I am chaotic. I can't sit still. I can't do things. I shouldn't say I can't. It's hard for me to do things in a specific arrangement. It's just chaotic, because all I know is chaos. So I act with what I know, And so my dreams act with what I know because of my brain. It's like, oh, you've been through chaos. Here's chaotic dreams, because they're always chaotic. They don't make any sense. Now, I'm sure I could get like one of those dream interpreters, like, yes, it means your sixth Libra is in the house of Saturn, and that you should.
It means you're slightly estranged from your second cousin twice removed, and you need to go make amends.
Pay me $50.
I
don't even know my second cousin, son. I'm not that person.
There is a bit to interpretation if you pay attention to it. If you don't go out and pay some yes. I want to say something derogatory about people, but I won't. If you go pay some person,
charlatan,
some person like Long Island Medium and whatever. I always make
does she drink Long Island iced teas? Because I think that'd be a better show if she got smashed on those and then did the readings.
But a long time ago, when I was a lot younger, I used to die in every dream I had.
Did you actually die, or did you actually before you died wake up?
Nope, it was an actual, like, because they say if you die in your dream, you're actually supposed to die, but I didn't. Like, I would fall from like huge heights, and I would feel the hit, and that'd be it. Or a giant monster would be in the ocean and jump up and grab me, or something else. And
can that happen
at some point, it doesn't happen now because.
But in real life, asking for a friend.
Me,
I'm your friend.
At some point in my actual waking life, I took a look at how my life was, because that was during a time when I was shifting from my old addicted self back in the day, back super serious, like bad things, to the modern version of me where I'm more confident. I'm more like, I'm in control. I know where everything's supposed to go. I mean, everything's not great, but I can keep myself on track now. And when that shift in my life happened, the death dreams stopped.
Which makes
sense.
I
have not had a dream like that since, which tells me that was part of my subconscious cashing in kind of on my insecurity, on my belief that there were things about me that were bad, that were terrible, that I was just, there was something wrong up there. And when I went over that line and turned into a slightly better person, I don't have those anymore. I have dreams where I'm far more successful.
Yeah, I always felt the death a little in my dreams before I wake up. I didn't just wake up before. I think I had it more to do with the problem with waking up and maybe sleep paralysis, which makes sense. Here's the funny thing. I've never died in my dreams. Not once. All my dreams are based on confinement, of not being able to leave. That's my dreams. They're all confinement. Like any nightmare I have, they're confinement. Anybody that knows me knows the reason why that is. I'm not going to put that out there. However, there's a reason for that. But I don't have those anymore. I stopped having those probably like 3 or 4 years ago, because I realized that my past doesn't make me who I am today. It's a stepping stone to make me a better person to be today. And so I don't have those. And if I do, they're few and far between. But when I do have those, they're the most vivid dreams I've ever had. I don't really have dreams. Like I really don't. I don't really dream. Like I'll sleep and maybe like I'll just wake up. Like I don't really dream anymore. I think it's weird that different phases of life have given me different types of dreams. I think that's the case. I think that's the case for me. That's the case for my co-host who's over here. He's not over here. He's not over this way. Maybe he's both. Maybe he's over here. Both ways? Maybe he's over here. It's like in Alice in Wonderland when the Mad Hatter and the March Hare.
I keep forgetting that my camera is like inverted. So when I point towards you, you're over here, but you're actually on my phone.
Like I'm literally
over
pointing
there.
Like, this is you. Excuse me. This is you.
Yeah,
but inverted. I have to go this way because it's inverted.
Yeah. Yep.
Right there, buddy. Here, bro fist, man. We got this. What a cluster F. What a cluster F. We didn't really talk about much on the Matrix or the Nothingness, so we'll have to amend that title.
This ended up being like a dreams episode, actually.
Right. Dreams. I don't know. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I don't know. I did. It was just kind of like a throw together.
It was an interesting talk. I mean, we covered a lot of ground.
So, but yeah, that's
on a side note for anybody who's really interested. There's a lot of good dinosaur news coming out lately. There's like been 3 big dinosaur discoveries in the last few weeks. So hey, If you like dinosaurs, there you go.
I'll revisit Worlds 2 and Dreams. I'm sorry that was a tangent. I kept
One of these days we'll have another show about dreams, because I used to have recurring symbolism too. I don't so much anymore, but I used to. Some very specific recurring symbolism. Very, 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 very specific.
So did I. For a long time. Mm-hmm. But you have to wonder if your life, and I believe that your life is why you dream what you dream. So yes. Anyways, that's it, y'all. Listen. You don't got you don't I don't know. What's the phrase? You don't gotta go home.
Stay here, but you gotta stay Uncanny.
Yeah. That one. You don't gotta go home. You can't stay here. Anyways, guys, God bless America, this stupid camera. Why am I? Yeah, brother, check out the beach. It's over here. Yeah, right over here, man. Who wants to see it? Yeah.
I gotta do a lot more of this to actually get to it.
We just do this like the whole stream. Anyways, there's not on the meat there. I'm getting back to the gym, y'all. I'm getting back next week, baby. I'm back. Anyways, right here. Oh, it's easier to do it this way. This here and this here. So I already did this chip. I did this chip last September, right? But this one here, this is the new one. Follow my whole journey on Twitch. Twitch.tv/This Uncanny Gaming. Come through at 200 followers. Your boy's gonna eat this and do a 12-hour stream. But I'm gonna pull this dude in right here. I'm gonna pull this guy.
I'll be there, but I ain't eating no spicy chip.
Like, you don't gotta eat spicy chip. I wouldn't do that to you, because you would.
Are we doing that?
You would probably die if you ate that chip, because you can't drink milk. You would be dead. You'd be dead because you have to. Like,
I can drink almond milk.
Shut up.
I can drink oat milk.
I can drink oats. I can make oats milk.
I'm gonna milk the oats.
Not on the show. Milk your oats after the show.
That sounds like a Ben Stiller joke.
From the Ben Stiller show.
Movie. It was terrible.
With Sacco, the sock that said "Shut your stinking trap." Anyway, so yes, 200 followers. There's this. Also, Peep Art, Joe Perdue, Ron Lanham, our very own Leah right here.
Yeah, I know the logo's in front of there.
I'll fix it. We'll fix it. And right here, this one, my dad bought this for my grandfather in the 70s. And when my grandfather
It's just not art if it's not in velvet.
It's legit though. It's my dad. Like, what do you expect? That's the old man. Like that's my
It's
pop.
not art if it's not in velvet.
That was gangster. That was gangster. But he got it from my grandfather. And then when my grandfather moved out after my grandmother died, he gave it to me. And it's been it's been with me for like 20 years now. So whenever I go on, I'm going to give it to my son. So my son has it in his house. I think when my son goes to college, I'm going to give it to him so he can put it up in his dorm and he can have it up. I want this is something I want to be passed down because it means a lot to me. And I have cool little stuff. Like over here is a really sweet book that was given to me by someone. Here's a sweet mug. Same person gave it to me. Here's StarCraft because why not? Hot Chip from last year and Mad Books. Books. Is that Megatron? That's Megatron.
That is Megatron.
Is that Megatron with the Autobot Matrix of Leadership?
He does. He's got a bandolier to his chest.
He can't use it.
No, but he wants to.
He can't. He's a Decepticreep creep. He's a Decepticreep creep. He can't use it. So yes, there we go. Actually, here I'll show Leah's artwork like this. There you go. See.
There you go. See. All right.
That's a beautiful piece of work too. She's such an amazing artist. I'm going to be featuring more of her prominent artwork on the show. If you want to get at her about painting you a nice piece of art, get at me and we'll figure it out because I definitely want her art to get out there.
Somebody could set up an Etsy store. They could set up an Etsy store. Somebody could totally set up an Etsy store. Hey,
totally Etsy. Etsy. Even not Etsy. Just we'll figure it out. I'm gonna help her out with it. Anyways, y'all, it's time to go, man. Why are you guys still here? Go home. There's a cat over there. And I like it. I like what's going on over there in your house. There's a cat. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the rescued one. Ow, he bit me. Ow, he's biting me again. Ow, he's still biting me.
He's the real MVP of this show. Listen, I'm firing you, and he's your replacement.
Yeah, he's into that. I mean, look at him. He's like, yeah. Ouch.
Yeah.
Ow. Bit me.
He got mad dipped. But listen, they're freeloaders. We have a right as cat owners to torture our felines because they're freeloaders. I'm sorry. It's rules. It's the rules of simulation made. What you want me to do? Maybe our simulating overlords are cats. It makes sense. Look, he's back.
Instead of lizards, they're cats.
Get him. Get him. Get him. Get him.
Ow. See? That's how we're going to end the show, with me just getting attacked by this cat. Ow. He's biting me and clawing me. Ouch.
As he should. Anyways, y'all, we're out. Have a good night. Peace and love. Stay uncanny. And as always, why be boring when you can be uncanny? We will see you folks next week. Peace. He hasn't